Good day. I'm Ryan Hall. Welcome to the studio here at Oak Mountain Media. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me in the studio today is an educator who truly leads by example and not just her words. Now in her 13th year of instruction, she truly understands the value of impacting students and her fellow teachers just alike. What an amazing time it is to welcome Miss Ashli Polizos.
Thank you, Ryan.
Into the studio. Man.
Pleasure to be here.
How's it going?
It's good. It's good. It's really exciting to be on the stage. I've seen a lot of the videos y'all have already produced, and so just to be here myself is really exciting.
Yes, ma'am. I still can't even get over the studio myself. It's such a great time.
Impressive. Very impressive.
So I know you, and a lot of us, a lot of my friends know you from the middle school, and we've known you for a very long time. And so a little while back, you moved up to the high school. You started teaching AP history, and then now you get to serve in the administrative position. And we all want to know, now that you work in the high school atmosphere, what were you like in high school?
I think I was just very average. I was a big choir nerd. I did choir from middle school all the way through college, actually, and I played tennis. So I tried to do a lot of different things.
Right.
I was a pretty good English and history student. I was a terrible math student. And so that's where my appreciation for a good math teacher comes in, because I would not have made it without really great math teachers.
Right.
But I think I was just kind of average. I went to Hewitt, and Hewitt's a lot like Oak Mountain, kind of similar. So I think, I just tried to enjoy everything and just make the most of my high school years and enjoy it.
That's good. So involvement was very important to you. And a lot of those things you just mentioned you were involved in, choir, kind of sounds like you have some English journalism kind of interest. A lot of that kind of shaped you who you are today. So that's cool.
For sure.
And after high school, I understand you went to the University of Alabama.
I went to the University of Alabama. I grew up an Auburn fan, but Alabama gave me money, and my parents said, you can go to college, but you have to get a scholarship. And so I went where they gave me money. And
that's
actually,
fair.
I felt like it was fair. So I actually paid for my textbooks at Alabama with Auburn checks.
Did you really?
Which was, kind of weird. But as soon as I got down there, I fell in love with the campus. I still, have a very special place in my heart for Alabama. Not just the athletic side of it, but really the academics are so good, and the people, and I just have great memories. It was a great time, great experience.
And you know me, I'm an Auburn fan, but I gotta say, equal respect for the college. We've been there. It's great.
Yeah, Auburn is a good school too. I'll give it to you.
Yes, ma'am. And right after leaving the University of Alabama, I understand that you spent a year in public relations. You kind of did some marketing and.
Yeah. So while I was in college, I did an internship for Southern Living, and and then I just kind of decided I wanted to go into advertising/PR, and I worked at a company called Lucky & Company Advertising.
Okay.
And we did advertising. My big client was Regions. And so what I actually did in that role, because it was an entry-level role, is I was a proofreader. So every time they created an ad, I had to look at it for grammar and just making sure that it was compliant and that it looked the way it was supposed to look.
Right.
So I did that for about a year, and it was super boring. And I just really didn't have a passion for what I was doing. I remember specifically, there was a weekend where they wanted us to come in and work, and we weren't going to get paid. And I was like, I really am not all about that.
No way.
And that told me something about that job. I really didn't have a passion for it. And so I started just looking into other options. I started going back to school at UAB, and I did their master's program in communication, started it.
Nice.
And the more I started taking classes, I wanted to take history classes just for fun, which is not normal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I started taking history classes, and it just hit me one day that I really wanted to be an educator. And so I moved to the School of Education and started the master's program, and the rest is history.
That is truly
amazing.
Literally. Yes, ma'am. And you said we kind of mentioned earlier, you're in your 13th year of instruction. And so I know you said teaching is kind of in your nature. It's kind of what you said.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know if it's like this for everybody, but I think for most people, if you were meant to be a teacher, you're going to automatically gravitate to that, whether it's a teacher in a school building or even a Sunday school teacher. I think that it's just part of who you are. And I know for me, I looked at all these other careers that I thought I was meant to do, but ultimately I was pulled into this field. I think a lot by God, but just by the personality that I have and the the interest that I have. And so it was just kind of an undeniable thing for me that this was where I was meant to be.
Sure.
And, you know, as a teacher, you work a lot of weekends without pay, you work a lot of nights without pay, but it didn't bother me. There was a big contrast between the way I felt about those two jobs. I just had a passion for it. It didn't bother me to do work outside of the school day because I loved what I was doing. And that's why I knew I was in the right place.
Sure. That is truly amazing. So after you kind of found yourself in the Oak Mountain area, what excites you about what you do now, serving the administrator position?
I think the best part about this job is, and this is the way it was for me for teaching as well, is the relationships part of it. The relationships that I have with my colleagues, that I have with kids. Even though sometimes we have to have conversations that are, you know, not super happy. A lot of it is coaching and just talking to kids about their choices and about making better choices. And so I love building those relationships with students. I also love the relationships I have with the teachers, getting to go see an amazing teacher. We have so many in our building.
Right.
So in this role, I get to go see all of our amazing teachers do what they do and just see their passion for their students. And that's what motivates me as well.
Right. I love what you said about relationships and how that's kind of your focus. And, you know, that's clearly evident in myself and so many others. And we've known you for such a long time. And you talk about having a hand in kind of, you know, students' lives early on, and you definitely have done that with us, Ms. Polizos. It's great.
Yeah. Well, what's been really neat coming up to the high school is that so many of y'all I worked with from the time you were in 6th grade, and now so many of you are juniors and seniors, and just to see the maturity and y'all kind of finding your identity and knowing yourselves, watching that has just been a privilege, and I've just loved it. So.
That is great. In addition to that, you serve as the president of the Alabama NBCT Network.
Good job.
Let's see. Yes, ma'am. What a title that is.
Right. And it's not as important maybe as it sounds, but basically, I did national board certification in 2011.
Okay.
And I did it not really knowing what I was getting into. It was the hardest thing I've ever done as far as professional development. It was harder than getting a degree.
Right.
It was about a year of my life just spent reflecting on my practice, making it better. What you do as part of that process is you submit some videos of yourself teaching, some papers, just kind of analyzing your teaching, reflecting on it. And so I grew a lot, and it really changed the way I taught. It changed the way I looked at things, and even as an administrator today, it has an impact on the way that I see things.
Right.
So as part of that, I started working with the board, and the board, our role is really to advocate for education. We go down to Montgomery in March, and we talk to politicians, to representatives and senators, and just kind of promote education, promote teachers, and promote national board certification, because that process is a really research-based, research-proven way of bettering education and improving practice for teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's just a good way for a teacher to improve. And the other thing that I love about it is we've got a lot of great teachers, and it's a way of recognizing accomplished teaching.
Right.
So in the role of president, I kind of lead this board of people, and we do a lot of things. In addition to advocating for education, we also put on a conference for teachers. We do seminars and workshops, and we also kind of help teachers who are going through the process of board certification make sure that they have the support that they need.
Yes, ma'am. Wow, that is truly amazing. And that national board certification, I know you just talked a little bit about it, but it really sounds like it's an extraneous, like really, just really something to be proud of, that certification. Because I know you have it, and then there's some other teachers we have here that have it, and it's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, I think, and this is something I said a lot in the classroom, the things that you do that are hard mean so much more to you than the easy things. And that's one of the hardest things that I've done, but it's also something that gives me a lot of pride, because I kind of look back and say, I did that thing, and it was really, really hard, but I did it. So.
Yes, ma'am. Wow. All right. So you're very, very successful in your career. Clearly, you're just awesome. You're Ms. Polizos. And I hear you have quite the appreciation for the Greek culture. Can you speak upon that a little bit?
I do. So I grew up this, girl and trustful that really didn't know anything about culture at all until I met my husband, Pete. And Pete is 100% Greek. Both of his parents are actually from the same island in Greece, so they're
Nice.
really Greek. And when I first met him, he's the only Greek person I knew. I didn't know anything about the Greek Orthodox Church, which is a big part of the culture. And so it was just a big learning curve for me. But I just fell in love with the culture. The food is great, the music. I love the church. I actually converted to Orthodoxy. I grew up Baptist and converted to Orthodoxy because they're all part of the Trinity. Social studies students, you remember there's 3 branches of Christianity. It's one of the 3.
Nice.
So it was an easy transition for me, but I just fell in love with the emphasis on family and just the warmth of that culture.
Yes, ma'am. And your faith is definitely something, and your family is definitely something that's important to you. What does your family mean to you? I know so you're quite busy. You are a mom of 3, James, Andrew, and Adeline, and you have a lot going on. So can you kind of talk about?
We do. So James is my oldest, and he's 10. And he is in 5th grade at the intermediate school. He plays football, he does robotics,
Nice.
and he's just very active. He's already asking me about cell phones and social media, so I'm already getting a taste of that, and I don't like it. But it's coming, I know it is. And then Andrew is my middle child. He's 7. He's in 1st grade at the elementary school.
Okay.
He's very, very charming, but he's very sneaky. He's got a bunch of dimples, and so I have to really keep my eye on him because he can just like charm you, and over on the side he's doing something really bad, but he's just so cute when he does it. You don't even notice. So I have to really watch him. And then the baby is Adeline. And when I was pregnant with Adeline and I didn't know she was going to be a girl or a boy, this sounds really terrible, but I actually prayed and I told God, I said, I don't think I can have a good attitude if you give me a boy. I just want to put it out there. I don't know. So if you'd like to give me a girl, I would be really happy about that.
Oh my goodness.
And he knew I was not a good enough person to have a a attitude about a boy.
Right.
So he gave me a girl. But the trade-off is that she's exactly like I was when I was little. She's very bossy. She's very sassy. She's very stubborn. But the good news is that all of those things eventually we can turn into good things, I think.
Right.
So, but she's 4. She's in daycare. She'll start kindergarten at OMES next year.
So many distinct personalities in your kids, man.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
And you also said you have 2 siblings, is that right?
I do. So I come from a family, I'm the oldest, and I have a sister who's 7 years younger who's actually a teacher at Helena Middle.
Okay.
And she teaches GRC, and it's really cool to see her at Shelby County events because, it's just cool to have that connection with her. And then I have a brother who, when I did my student teaching, I did my student teaching with Mr. Kroom in 8th grade at the middle school. And when I was doing my student teaching in 8th grade, my little brother was in 8th grade at Hewitt. And so I would ask him, do you need any help? Do you want me to help you study? And he was kind of like, no, I'm good.
He wasn't having it, huh?
He was not a school person. And he's great now. He graduated, thank God. It was touch and go there for a while. But he graduated and went on to Alabama, and now he's an accountant in Nashville. Nice. So, but it was good to have that different perspective. I was probably kind of a nerd in high school, and I loved school. My brother Josh does not. So it's good to have that perspective. I think it helps me do my job better to kind of know that perspective.
Yes, ma'am. And you truly are the trailblazer, it sounds like. So your younger sister, you're like, yeah, man. Like, I wonder how you got into that. Right?
I would definitely, I love that. I might tell her next time I see her. Just so you know, I am the trailblazer.
Just a reminder.
Yeah.
And finally, just to kind of wrap up, what's your next goal?
Well, one thing that I've got to really focus on this year is renewal for NBCT. So a National Board Certified Teacher, you do the process, and then every couple of years you have to go through what's called renewal, and you do kind of a mini version of that process. The challenging part is that I've got to borrow a classroom and actually go back and teach one lesson.
Really?
Which is, I'm excited about it because I love teaching. I love what I'm doing now, but I do miss, watching kids learn about history and being part of that. So this year I've got to do my renewal process, and hopefully about this time next year I'll find out if I renewed. So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
All right. Well, you got all our support, Ms. Polizos.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And just on behalf of everyone, I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing. And just like we mentioned earlier, relationships is your main focus. And I mean, many of us here in middle school, I mean, we got to know you, and you really have had a lasting impact on us. And even in you taught broadcast, I mean, you indirectly had a hand in everything, with Mountain Media and everything you see here. just so many other things, Ms. Polizos. So just keep it up, man. We really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. I'm really proud of y'all just to see kind of, I know where y'all came from 7th grade broadcast all the way to this, and this is incredible, and I'm just really proud of y'all, and it's a privilege and an honor to get to see you guys do what you do.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in, Ms. Polizos.
No problem.
And for Oak Mountain Media, I'm Ryan Hall.